Hey guys, welcome back to Oh Here No. I'm Katie,
I'm Liz.
and today we have an awesome guest. Do you want to tell them about him?
Yes, I will talk to him. So we have Robert Reed. He is the founder of Ergo Styling Tools. He's done many, many other things beyond that. We're just so excited to have such an icon for our industry come in who has worked with so many wonderful people, done so many great things for our industry. We're just pumped. We're pumped to have him
We are.
and learn about your journey, um, how this started for you, and just like how it led you to now being with us.
And
So,
like we just were talking about this before we were recording, that he was at a show, a hair show in Chicago that we were just at, and he's on the board for that show. So many things. I'm sure your career is
yeah,
very
America's Beauty
fruitful.
Show.
So
So, yeah,
that's amazing. Good
Well,
job.
it is to you.
I guess a good way to get started is to thank you once again for what you do to create careers in this fantastic profession. I am enjoying my 50th year in this. And
Good
Wow.
for you.
if it wasn't for people, gracious people like yourselves, I wouldn't have learned enough to have lasted that long.
I
Yeah,
hear you.
it's
I
it's
hear
it's
you.
a lot. It is. It's so much.
Well, so 50 years ago, let's talk about the industry and why you decided to get started in the cosmetology industry. What was it like and what led you here?
Well, that's an interesting story. It's not going to take 50 years to tell it, but
You probably could if you wanted to.
I was in the rock and roll industry, working
Yep.
for a radio station in Southern California, big radio station. I'd always wanted to be a singer, but I realized after being on stage enough times to come to the realization I didn't have the chops. So I started to get involved in being an on-air talent and get involved in the creation of advertising strategies for clients and creating those spots for the station. I was a starving artist at that time. We're talking about 19, just completed promoting my first concert, which was at the Long Beach Auditorium, which doesn't exist any longer. The headliner was a popular singer. Gosh, his name escapes me this moment because of the pressure. But he sang,
Right.
No pressure. Seriously, loosey goosey over here.
his name was Elvin Bishop, and he sang the popular song, I Fooled Around and Fell in Love.
No
You may know that
way.
song.
I love that
I
song.
don't know that song, but I'm 31, so
She could
I'm
be
sorry.
she could be my daughter easily. I always forget that. I'm like, "Oh my god, you are that young,
Yeah, you
Katie."
said that today.
I did, literally. We had that conversation just 20 minutes
Second in
ago
the
about
lineup
it.
was a group called Sons of Champlin, who were very big into Berkeley, California music sound. In the late 60s and early 70s. And third build was a brand new group called the Doobie Brothers. They
No
Yes.
way.
hadn't yet even released a song. Just to tell you how long ago that was, their fee for the night was $750. But
Wow.
in any event, I had never put together any business or any business strategy. I was 23 years old and I lost my rear end. I had to go to work for the radio station to pay off my debts because that's what my father told me that real men do. You always pay your
Right?
debt. And while I was there as a starving artist, I listened to other radio stations to find out what was going on. I heard a radio advertisement for a rock and roll haircutting studio in Torrance, California. It
No
was
way.
called
That's a
Fine
great
Arts Hair
concept
Studio.
even right now.
Yeah, great concept. And it also offered all the wine you could drink. So I knew it was a perfect place for
What?
me.
For the clients or the stylists?
I guess both.
A little bit of both, right?
The 70s sounds so fun.
The haircut was magnificent. Everything fell into place. I said to myself, I love this concept of a precision haircut, but I couldn't really afford to visit there again. At that time, that haircut was maybe $25. I was making
Sure.
$75 a week, so that was just out of my range. I had to figure out a way to get a free haircut, and I learned that I could trade my voice talents and my production talents with a local salon and put them on the radio. That led to a relationship with this rock and roll radio station that I had created a studio at my high school for in 1970. And we made these people somewhat famous. We put them in contact with all sorts of rock groups where they did their hair. I took Eric Burden from Eric Burden and the Animals to get his hair painted. And I loved the industry. I had the good fortune of joining with this salon group which is called the Mod Crimpers. They were fantastic hair cutters, award winners. In California, there was a group called CCA, California Cosmetologists Association, that always had haircutting competitions in their salon. Entryway was full of trophies that were 6 feet tall. So these
That's
people were
cool.
brilliant hair cutters, but they couldn't speak that well while cutting because they were so focused. So they asked me to become their spokesperson. During one of the presentations, there was a man in the audience. His name was Jerry Redding. He was the founder of Redken. At that time, he just started a new company called Germac. People are familiar with the name Redken because they're still going very strong. Germac was a brand that was professional and
I remember
focused
that
on
brand.
science, focused on natural ingredients and essential oils. So he invited me to join them, and I joined them in 1974 as a sales representative. I worked by visiting salons in 13 Western states, visited cosmetology schools in the morning, presenting Germac products. I trained sales consultants for distributors in the afternoons. In the evening, I did in-salon presentations on product knowledge. So I really honed my presentation skills in the mid-70s. In 1976, I got fired for asking for a 10% salary increase, which was $80.
No.
God
Was
forbid.
yeah,
And they
I was
canned you.
and they canned me.
Wow.
I have been fired from a few jobs, but they've all opened up
Happens.
the door for me. 1976, I joined with a couple salon owners. Some of the previous employees of Germac had started a brand new company called KMS, and I became the world's first distributor for KMS here in Southern California. We serviced about 10,000 salons, honed my ability to put together educational programs. In 1978, I got tired of that. I sold my business to my partner, and I was discovered by this man called Vidal Sassoon. So I
Oh,
was
I know about
Oh,
him.
he's like my favorite.
yeah. So
Our
He is.
last guest actually went to his academy in London.
that's fantastic.
I
I
know,
know.
it was cool.
For
We
all
talked
those
So
about it
listeners
for
jealous.
3
here,
hours.
for your listeners who may not be familiar with Vidal as a man and a creative force, we're just
Unbelievable.
speaking together over our team lunch here today about the movie called Vidal Sassoon, the movie.
I
This
make all of
project,
our students watch it.
yeah,
I love
so
it.
just gives you a great sense of identity and understanding both what he contributed and in the period in which he created geometric haircutting, its
Yes.
association with fashion. So it was very exciting in those 70s and 80s.
So fun.
Dal Sassoon was acquired by a very large company called Richardson Vicks, which was the owner of Vicks Vapor Rub.
I
We
didn't
all
know
had some
that.
experience with that. And so I was out looking for a job. A friend of mine who was Vidal's personal assistant, his name's Tony Beckerman. He's in the movie, Vidal Sassoon, the movie. He speaks quite frequently. Told me that if I was looking for an opportunity, I should look to serve hairdressers because hairdressers are generally underserved and underinspired with their tools. Most notably, he said, when you buy a great pair of scissors, they're never the same when they're sharpened.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
I've had so many pairs of
Yeah.
shears ruined from getting them sharpened, it's awful.
So I had the good fortune to meet some people who had started a new importation company of a Japanese scissor. It was called Hikari. This brand, when we introduced those scissors in 1980, we were selling for $99, which is 3 times what the average price of scissors were at that time.
But a steal now.
But we offered the certainty of when they were sharpened by someone who had been trained in the factory, and they would come back performing exactly as new because there is a certain geometry and technical skill in understanding how a scissor cuts through that incredible fiber called human hair. While I was there, one day at a trade show, it happened to be the Midwest Trade Show, which is the name that preceded America's Beauty Show in Chicago. Someone came up to me at the end of a Sunday. You know, trade shows are like a marathon, so I was exhausted. But he asked me, could he have a moment with me, a private moment at the end of the show? And I said, yes. And he said, I'm wondering if you could help me with a dream. And that is, I want to cut my sister's hair for her wedding. Now, I don't have any technical skill in hair cutting, but I understood shortly thereafter when he showed me his cutting hand, the pinky and this finger were joined together as a result of being in a fire.
Oh,
Wow.
geez.
He asked me if I could adapt a handle to his needs and started me thinking that, well, there's some very rewarding aspects of being in my role, which is president of Hikari, that would help them do what they love, which is cut hair. So we began to fiddle around and try to figure out how we could take a handle and adapt it with certain rubberized plastic so that he could grip it, hold it, open it, and close it.
For
And that was
sure.
a very fulfilling task that I had, a role
That's
in
cool.
helping this person do what he dreamt of doing, which is simply
It's
cutting his sister's hair for her wedding.
Aw.
Remarkable. And honestly, aren't those the moments in this industry when we're all so burnt out or like running the marathons at hair shows when it's like, God, that's why I do this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why we have to be there 100% for all of the attendees and be open-minded and really take it in. But,
Yeah.
um, that just inspired me to be able to serve hairdressers in a way that they hadn't been served before.
Right.
We went on further and we learned that one of our key customers called Supercuts in the late 80s, early 90s, this was really a growing force. They had grown to about 1,000 locations, and their hair cutters were cutting 25 to 40 heads a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
So their hands were very busy and they were experiencing a lot of repetitive motion injury. I'd never heard the term before.
Mhm.
This term was related to how they opened and closed their thumb in the pair of scissors.
Yeah.
God didn't create the hand to do this several thousand times a day.
With your sock puppet?
No, just crabs. Crabs got that ability.
Exactly. And we learned by working with micro hand surgeons that there's a direct correlation between effort and gram force required and the efficacy, efficiency of a tool. So with this group, I started working with their workers' comp insurance provider called Fireman's Fund. And we began to understand there was one other industry that had similar injuries, and it's very odd, but they were a group of chicken pluckers who were
Oh my
using
God.
Shut up. I was like
tools
a
that were really
surgeon.
quite similar. They were cutting like this.
That's so funny.
We established that there's a direct correlation between the efficiency of a tool, the effort required to use the tool, the training to use the tool, and then the recreation of the edge for the tool. So ultimately, with Supercuts, we were able to have their workers' comp company fund the training, rehabilitative training of a hairdresser who had been injured on the job and off on workers' comp by issuing them a prescription, a prepaid pair of scissors, the training to use them, and the follow-up to have them serviced properly.
What?
That's brilliant, though.
It worked
That's
out
really
great.
cool.
It worked out
Yeah.
great.
Did it help? I mean, did they notice a difference
Yes, he
using
knows.
the ergonomic shears at that point?
Yes, ergonomics, we may as well speak about it now because that's a term that's tossed around like,
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't know if that was the right term to use at all, but it's the only term I have.
yeah, it's a term that's, of course, it's a foundation of the company that I direct now, which is called Ergo Styling Tools. We began in 1994 as a research company to help our industry better understand ergonomics, which, as a quick summary, is simply the relationship between you, your body, and your workplace. So that means everything from the floor to the ceiling, how far you have to reach for a tool, the effort required to use a tool, and there are many, many subcategories of that tool. You know, it's the weight, the balance, the efficacy, the ability to use it to reduce the amount of effort, and ultimately, here it's creating careers that are more pleasant and longer lasting.
For sure.
Wow. So, I mean, obviously, there's a correlation with the name of your company. Is it Ergo or Ergo?
It's both.
Okay.
Began it began
Depending where you live.
fundamentally based upon ergonomics, which
Okay.
is what you know is simple, but the relationship between you, yourself, and your workplace, including your tools. And because it was a research company, as I wrote white papers and presented them to companies that would help them understand certain facets of the industry, I would say, ergo, my recommendation would be. And ergo in Latin means therefore.
And that's see, I've been pronouncing it like
Oh,
that, but
okay.
now that we're getting into the ergonomic side of things,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, okay, so obviously that makes sense." But that was kind of the whole preface of why okay, I don't know if I'm jumping around
No.
here. My focus is
Um,
like a 5-year-old child. Okay, so you worked for all these companies, and then now, today, you own a company, correct?
yes, our
So
company is 32 years new.
love
And
that.
just like a
Me
lot of the
too. I'm
audience,
31 years new.
just like a lot of our audience, we began as one thing and we evolved into another. And we've
So it
gone through
was
different
the research company.
iterations. We began as a research company.
Okay,
Most of the clients I presented to would ask me for solutions. So would I build the tools
Yeah.
for, and that's how we evolved.
that's so cool.
It's so neat because you don't realize until you're much older what our industry does to our bodies. And it's a big thing. Like I had neck surgery. I had 3 vertebrae fused a year ago now, probably. So, and I instruct our students like don't lean, make your client lean, don't raise your chair. All of these things, like from
Mhm,
the get go, create these habits now so you aren't suffering later because you will if you
mhm,
don't. If you do this for any long period of time, you're going to suffer. You're going to have some sort of physical ailment from it. People, we talk about the carpal tunnel a lot, because of the way we use our hands. And I always say I have the strongest shoulders and the strongest forearms, but I don't have any biceps and everything else is shot because of the way we use our bodies. So I think ergonomics is something that came into play way too late in our industry for sure.
It's, yeah, it still isn't part of cosmetology school curriculum.
Well, it is in ours. We definitely talk about it. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
definitely talk
it's
about it.
important. I grew up a competitive dancer, and I've needed a knee replacement since I was 25. I still haven't got it, but I remember foiling and just standing before I had an anti-fatigue mat, and my knee would lock up, and I literally couldn't bend it for, like, an hour probably, like, almost falling into my clients because I couldn't bend my knee
Yeah.
because there's just no cartilage left, but it's so important, and even in my 30s, I feel what I've done for the last 8 years now. It's insane how much we use our bodies and just like you said, the repetitive motions, because while we might not be lifting or doing these manly jobs or whatever, it's the repetitive motions that really just wear on your joints so badly. So I have a lot of respect and appreciation for what you set out to do early on before that was ever trendy or talked about or
Yeah,
really any of that. So kudos to you. Seriously.
for
So
That's
thank
sure.
you.
awesome.
Helping other people do what they love to do. It's a very rewarding return.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you hear it all the time too. When people have utilized your products, the tools that you guys put out, and I definitely feel like the younger generation, and you don't care when you're young.
No,
You
you don't.
don't care. You just don't think about those things. You're like, I'm fine. I'm invincible until you're 50 years old and you're not invincible anymore and you've had a few surgeries, you've had some things go on. So you mentioned schools and that. Like, so when you talk about ergonomics and all of the things, you don't feel that they're teaching enough. How would you recommend, like just out of like my own curiosity, because I said we do teach it, but speaking to somebody that's literally what you think about daily, what would be your advice for getting the word out to the students or even younger stylists to help them with the ergonomics of all of everything that we do? Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, you said it great. Students think they're invincible. So
Yes.
when you're speaking about if you love doing what you're doing now and you want to do it for a long time, pay attention to this. So it's
Mhm.
important how you stand. It's important how you reach for things. It's important how you even elevate a chair because a lot of injury can happen to a knee if you don't if you, and you start on that hydraulic just pumping like crazy. There's a lot
Yeah.
of low back injury and leg injury. So all that is very valuable, and thank you for presenting it. But we have to get down to the essence of the repetitive motion injury.
Right.
And what we learned from micro hand surgeons is that the harder a surface, like the harder a handle of any tool, the more firmly we grip it
Mhm.
subconsciously. This is to maintain control, especially if your hands are wet or slippery because you have some styling product on them. So it's
Mhm.
important to recognize the number one injury in hairdressing is tendinitis.
Mhm.
This is an inflammation that's created through gripping, rotation of the wrist incorrectly. It really begins with something as simple as how to use a brush and
Yeah.
how efficient that brush is. And I'm very proud of the reputation that we've gained. We call our followers ergo lovers that love what we do because they can recognize when they pick up this tool, which feels instantly familiar, beautifully balanced, that there's some thought that goes into it. We here at Ergo, we think it's really weird and nonsensical that most professional tools presented to professionals and future professionals have no input from a hairdresser.
Yeah.
So often they're just a copy of something else, maybe made to look a little bit prettier, but
Yeah.
generally speaking, they're inefficient. When, Ergo is 32 years new, but we really changed our thinking uh, in 2009. You may remember this period. This is when the economy worldwide went into the toilet.
Yep. Yes, it
Most
did.
of the small family-owned factories that I had discovered around the world to produce our scissors and brushes, and we're one of the first to introduce a flat iron of any kind
Wow.
in
Wow.
2001. In 2009, every one of our small family-owned factories filed bankruptcy within 30 days,
Oh,
Every
gee.
single one did?
every single one. So we
Wow.
had both, we faced adversity. We had the good fortune to be healthy financially, even though I just recently purchased a brand new building. It was empty because we had no resources.
Yeah.
So we
Nothing to
began to
store.
rethink, what is our real purpose? What do we want to do? Who do we want to do it with? And how do we want to do it?
Yeah.
So I began to have new thoughts about something as simple as how a brush moved through hair, what that whole process was from what it felt like in the hand, how efficient it might be, how the fibers move through the hair, their impact. And I started to have this new thinking about going back to our roots of ergonomics.
Mhm.
And that was fundamentally creating brushes that had a different impact both on the hair and the user. So we developed some new surfaces and handles. We created a silicone grip. So this slightly pliable surface felt familiar in the hand. It didn't require you to give it a death
A
grip.
death that's
Mhm.
what yeah, because I think that's super poignant what you said is the harder the surface, the harder we grab. And
Yeah.
I don't know that. So that's really interesting because I don't when I feel something, I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's nice and soft." I don't think about that, like you explained it. So that's really interesting. Like I was literally as you're speaking, I'm like, I need to pay more attention to how things feel in my grip, I
Yeah.
Mhm,
guess.
mhm.
No,
Yeah.
it's
And
true
also,
because I'm a tense person and I hold
Same.
things really tightly. And so now I'll be curious to see if when I'm holding
Yeah.
something that's silicone or something like that, do I hold it lighter or what?
I tried to learn knitting, and I feel like this is a great example of that. I'm a super tense person, I guess I'll say, and I tried to learn knitting. I ended up with a stiff neck. My shoulders are up to here, and I am like weaving these knitting needles into each other to create a very tight blanket that I could not stretch at all. And she is like, Liz, you are so tense and you are doing this way too tight. And I was like, I don't know, like, how else can I do that? Like, I literally could not release the tension on those needles and they were metal. And so I'm like, now I'm like, I mean, clearly they can't make like rubber flexible knitting needles, but I'm like, can they make the handle softer? Maybe I would be a little more gentle. Like,
yes,
that's literally like what just popped in my head. That's been a
the answer is
million years
yes.
ago.
The answer is yes. You
I
know,
love
That's
that.
I
interesting.
I find inspirations in everywhere around me, and I'll share one with you about knitting and the influence it's had for an upcoming product launch for us. But
Really?
I want to tell you a funny story. I was in the lobby of a hotel, and this relates to you, Liz,
Huh?
uh, because of how tense you are. This woman was walking back and forth, and she's saying, I'm a wigwam, I'm a teepee, I'm a wigwam,
Okay.
I'm a teepee. And this doctor walked up to her and said, calm down, you're too tense.
A wigwam and a teepee are tense.
Oh, I got it. I was like, okay.
My husband probably got it. He's
That's
Indian. He's American Indian.
Native
So he's probably
American.
like, I totally got that.
Okay. Anyway, knitting and knitting needles are an inspiration for a brand new collection of tools that we're soft launching at the premiere show coming up in Orlando in a couple of weeks. But we feel that once again, it's how tools feel in the hand and how we grip them. It's so important in this new category of, let me digress.
No, you're fine.
I
We
want to
digress
speak,
a lot.
I want to speak about cosmetology schools and kits.
Yes. Yes.
There's a lot of habits, a lot of bad habits are perfected in cosmetology school.
That's funny you say that because that's something, and I just started a new class on Monday. Or no, was it Monday? Last week. No, today's Monday. It was last week.
It's
And
Tuesday.
same thing. So we literally, one thing I hear myself saying to the new classes is let's not start these bad habits. And it was today because I had them get their shears out, just simple things with the shears and just do a blunt cut real quick on those icky mannequins we get. But I'm like, make sure you keep your shoulders back, move the mannequin, do not lean and bend. Those are things that they won't even adjust that mannequin.
Mhm.
And I'm on them. I'm like, that mannequin is like your chair. Your chair is a tool, up and down, up and down. Like it's going to save your back, your neck, all the things.
That's correct. Let's speak a little bit about a brush. Have either of you ever used an Ergo brush?
No, and I want to now.
I know completely.
Okay. I don't want to make this commercial, but I'll tell you that
No, I love this.
the bad habits get perfected in school, in cosmetology school, often because the level, and I'm talking about price level and quality of
Mhm.
all of the tools is as low as possible to make the kit as affordable as possible.
For sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no doubt that the cost of a kit is important and you want to control that. But when we speak about a hairbrush, because I told you that the number one injury is tendonitis from how we grip tools, watch your students blow dry because you'll notice them turning their wrist constantly
Well, I do that.
like this. And at Ergo, we have in-salon education that is a 3 to 3.5 hour deep dive into the process of finishing from an ergonomic or body-friendly repetitive motion reducing process that is a roadmap for finishing that begins with understanding how to control the brush.
I like that.
It's so big.
It's big. So
Yeah.
some of the things that we're speaking of, I just did a recording for a group called The Meeting of the Minds taking place in Wichita this weekend at the Eric Fisher Academy, which is a leading
Yeah.
cosmetologist.
Yeah.
So they have at that school, they include Ergo brushes in their kits through our relationship with Pivot Point, although we also do business on a direct basis, to
Nice.
include at least 2 or 3 brushes in the cosmetology kit because they're used differently. In the art of the blow drying, when we're speaking about using a brush, and I'm just going to pull one here as an example, you can see we have this silicone handle.
Yeah.
We have an extended barrel, which I innovated when
I
we
love the long barrel.
11. But when you're holding this brush, we don't rotate the wrist to use it. Oftentimes, this is because a student and a professional may be taking, for a diameter brush like this, may be taking a lot of hair
Mhm.
and overloading the brush, looking to try to dry the hair as rapidly as possible, when that's the least efficient manner in which to dry hair. First of all, understanding bristles, their purpose is to separate the hair for the dry. So if you can't see the bristles, they're not separating the hair for your air dryer to do its job. So you're going from scalp to ends many, many times trying to dry this multi-layered section of thick hair.
Well, and you want that hair to also be against, I don't really know what it's called technically, but that plate as well, because that's going to kind of give it that
Provide that
smoothness and
heat.
Yes.
right. Yeah,
Plate,
exactly.
yeah.
So beginning with thinking about students, we're professing to schools that the investment in a kit, the cost of a kit's important, but
Mhm.
they may want to offer this professional upgrade of 2 or 3 ergo brushes because that will carry them well into their career, but also help prevent them from developing and perfecting the bad habit of rotating the wrist
Yeah.
during a blow dry.
Killing their bodies.
Well, and I think starting with a better product, a better tool, they're gonna use another tool later on. They're gonna go buy the cute pink thing with whatever on it because they all do it. I take them to the supply house the first week of school. They go there and they're like, "These are so cute," and they buy all of the cute pink things or from is amazing for all of their prints and the girls go crazy for it. It's so funny, but like educating them on just something as simple as a brush and the bristle length. I literally, and I'm going to say I did not know that the longer those bristles are because I was thinking I have this big giant one I use at home for myself and it's the bristles are like that big. They're not that big like yours.
Let
But
me
it's
clarify.
a million years old, I'll say that.
Let me clarify. It's not the length of the bristles, although we do pay a lot of attention to several things about bristles. Number one, material composition. We like nylon. We like nylon because on its own, it's friction free. It doesn't have a cuticle like a natural animal round
Right.
brush.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Number two, because it's man made. When it's in production and in a liquid form, we can add different elements to it
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
have different outcomes.
Right.
So to a big vat of liquid heated nylon, we can add carbon. Carbon is going to be added to increase resistance to heat. Our brushes are resistant up to 500 degrees Fahrenheit for
Wow.
our classic.
Yeah.
We can also add different elements important to you in Michigan. You got that thing called humidity during the
Yes, we
summer,
do.
May through September. So we add an element called tourmaline. It's a crystal, and this crystal has an impact upon the cuticle similar to acidity. So it
Hmm.
controls the cuticle during the blow dry, so the cuticle doesn't over elevate, meaning it's more difficult to close down and be shiny. So those are important elements about bristles. Bristle diameter is important. We're looking, uh, there are many new discoveries about the
Learning
importance
so
of the
much.
diameter of a bristle. But what I was mentioning to you is the length of a barrel, this extended barrel length.
Yes,
It's 20% longer.
that's
You can take
amazing.
wider sections. If you take wider sections, you'll take fewer sections and ultimately finish faster, get the arms and shoulders down.
Well, and beyond just for me, the length of the barrel, one thing I hate about some of those brushes is the hair that goes beyond, gets into the handle and all the things because the barrel itself is shorter.
Yes.
So having that longer barrel, you can grab that hair and you don't have to worry about it working into the handle and the part while you are working that hair and pulling it down and and
Mhm.
and doing all the things that we are manipulating that hair to do. And I just think that's awesome. It was like the bristle length is what got me though when you talked about the length because mine are literally it's just a nub.
Yeah, they're probably because they've been degraded by heat,
Mhm.
and I
Well,
don't know if they're
it is
natural
old.
yeah, I don't know. Are they natural bristle brushes?
God, no, 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 they're not natural. No, no, possibly, but they've all, but it's just, it's like I said, it's an old brush. So it's like, I never thought about the fact that the length of the brush is going to spread that hair so it can dry better. I mean, just the way you are telling us how to use a round brush is,
Mhm.
are things I've literally never even given two thoughts to.
Yeah. So I know
That's
we're down
crazy.
to our last like 15
We
minutes.
sure are.
So we've kind of talked about schools and what we need to stop the bad habits while they're learning, right? Before they perfect those bad habits.
100%.
So if we could talk to maybe the instructors a little bit, what tool habits should instructors correct immediately, in your opinion?
There are quite a few. Let's just speak about a couple. Number one is almost every stylist who goes to work under the Vidal Sassoon influence learns how to use a pair of scissors.
Yes.
In my observation, and I'm not a hairdresser, I'm a hairdresser interpreter
Uh-huh.
because what I create is a result of observation and asking questions.
Yeah.
But in the old days, to learn proper efficient use of a pair of scissors, one would lay their hand on their lap with the scissors there, and they would palm up. They
Here
would
I am
be
doing
able
it.
to
I know.
effectively learn how to control the thumb only and then turn the scissor over.
Yeah.
You follow
Yeah.
me?
Yes. I think I love that.
That's a good
That's cool.
practice, and at home, they can sit around watching television, or they could even be on a device with one hand, and their palm is a palm up on their leg, and their thumb is moving up and down, and
Right.
eventually just turn it over becomes second nature. So
Yeah.
that's a good exercise. Another good exercise is have your instructors be aware of and observe a future professional in how they're taking those sections. It's really important.
Mm,
Even in the most successful salons that we visit to present the art of the blow dry, we have some very accomplished people who love finishing that are doing twice the amount of work they need to do
Yeah.
because they're taking overly thick sections,
you're
especially
speaking
when
my
you're looking
language.
at a shoulder length, beyond shoulder length, head of thick hair. All you're
Mm,
thinking about is finishing as quickly and efficiently as possible. So there's probably an overloading of hair on the brush. If you can't clearly see the bristles, then the dryer can't do its job. By taking
Mm,
slightly more narrow sections, you can dry from roots to end, going through the hair 2 or 3 times instead of 6 or 7 times.
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Additionally, when it comes to blow drying and the selection of a brush, in our art of the blow dry, we use multiple brushes because we see the hair living in at least 3 different environments: the roots, mid shaft, and ends. So if we're looking to control those roots, we would generally begin with removing 70–80% of the moisture with our hands, not in a wild, rough dry. That
Hmm.
Yeah.
expression rough dry drives me crazy, but in a very controlled manner, using your fingers to begin to smooth the roots against the form of the head. We would use a paddle brush to begin to control the roots, make sure those roots are smooth. Then we may go into the roots are um, closest to the scalp with the small diameter brush
Yeah.
to gain more tension, moving to a slightly larger diameter brush mid shaft, maybe using that fully to the ends, or possibly using a 1 inch in the roots, a 2 inch in the mid shaft, and a 3 inch for finishing the ends. So section thickness leads to efficiency, reducing the number of times you have to go through a section.
I like that. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
I mean, and it was funny because today I literally showed my students how to just hold the shears. And I told them, I was explaining to them, like, we move our thumb, we do all the things. But I'm gonna give us kudos here for a second though, because um our guest that we had that did attend the Vidal Sassoon school, he watched a couple of our students cutting hair and he goes, Liz, I don't know what you guys are teaching them, but your students are nailing the cutting thing. They are utilizing their shears correctly. I'm like,
Thank God.
yes. I was like, we're doing it. We did it. So it's funny because we've only been open actually less than 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years in
In
September.
September will be 4 years. And I did this because of a lot of reasons. Just our industry, I feel like, was lacking a lot, especially in the area where we live, for sure, with the schools level of education the students were getting
Mhm.
from accredited schools was blowing my mind. And I'm like, no. So we're choosing to not accreditate, but our level, I would say, is our standards, I feel like, are higher than anything NACIS would throw out there. We're just
100%.
very regimented and we are a small school on purpose. We want to really get in there and hone on some things. So like our passion for this industry is kind of what stimulated the whole podcast
Mhm.
thing as well. Too, because there's a lot going on within our industry and changes and our tools. Like there's just so many things that we encompass within this industry. It's kind of wild. Because like here you are, not even a licensed cosmetologist, been in this industry the majority of your life, and you're developing the tools that we use, which is huge, telling us how to use the tools so that we can prevent injury through long-term
Yes.
use. And that's big
Giving our
in
careers longevity, which is
for sure.
important because
Yeah,
I feel like
just
it could take me out in like 3 more years.
Yeah. It's
right.
a lot.
It's possible. By the way, I'm no brainiac. I'm just a really good observer. Ask a lot of questions. Every tool that comes from Ergo is based upon the need of a hairdresser.
Mm,
The development of we have green light thinking sessions about how to make that tool more efficient.
Yeah.
And then our team, which are all hairdressers, begin to say how they would refine that tool. Then we have factories work with us to develop working prototypes. And we eventually, and sometimes it takes several years of the creation of our current
Yeah.
brushes, our classic brushes. That was about 18 months in just concept before development. The newest tools, we'll get back to you talking about knitting
Yeah.
because our newest collection of tools are hair color painting tools because the typical tint brush is so unfavorable to the user experience.
Oh
They're
thank
all
my
God. I
god,
was just
yes.
formulated I don't know how many colors today, and I was like, "I hate all of these brushes." I was, like, having a crazy
And
moment.
we have like a plethora of just random brushes, and
I'm
if I
so
see
excited.
like a new random tool, like I think, oh, this could maybe help with this, I'll throw it in if I'm out. It's hard.
I'm
So
picky, but
what are your fun things? What are the fun things coming?
and when is it coming?
First of all, in the time we have remaining, I'll tell you a 30-second development story of our hair color tools. I
Okay.
was at the Viper Club in Hollywood attending a hair show, and a
Really?
colorist
They have
came up
hair
to me.
shows at the Viper Club?
Yes.
That's cool.
This great educational group called Elevate, and they do shows all over the
Oh,
place.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of them. Okay.
So this colorist came up to me and said, "Robert Reed, look at my freaking fingers." And she showed me something similar. She showed me the inside of her driving finger, that finger?
That one?
And her index finger, which were calloused because she
Yeah.
was a balayage expert. She's using
Huh?
these hard injection molded plastics in working in all these
Yeah.
different areas. And she said, do something about it. So
Makes
we are
sense.
do something. We will be doing something. We're introducing our new hair color brushes with an ergonomic handle
Love it.
made of silicone. So it's a whole new user experience,
I love it.
That's great.
interchangeable and disposable heads. So the attention is both on the handle and the bristles. There's a science behind the bristles. We can't get into that right now. You'll learn
I
more about
love
that.
That is so
this.
cool. Excuse me, sorry.
So
So
we think
here's
we're going to shake up the industry for that.
Yeah,
yes, because I don't think
no one's
anyone
done
has
that.
touched them besides the tips and the
That's
bristles. But
that's right.
there's nothing for this right here at all. It's
That's correct.
all about how it gets onto the hair, which great. Yeah, that's the important part. But if we don't have this, we're not going to be able to do this. So
Mhm.
I love
We
that.
paid we paid attention to everything. So it's going to be a brand new user experience. Of course, the bristles have to be accurate. They have to pick up product. They have to spread product. They have to be easy to clean. They have to be long lasting. There's a great amount of waste that goes into the landfill from hair color services. We're going to reduce that by having the heads of our brushes are made of ABS plastic, should be recyclable in almost all communities that recycle
Wow.
plastic. So all sorts of things in that. But because our time is limited and you have a mixed audience, I want to just drop some information
Please do.
that would be valuable to everyone here. And
Yes.
that is how to become one step better than your competition. To become better, you have to become worth more. To
Yeah.
have the client rebook with you, the experience has to be better and even beyond the experience itself. One of
Hmm.
the questions we asked a leading salon group in Minneapolis that has over 500 hair employees is this question: when do you think that your service is complete? When do you think it's over?
Really? I don't know. I feel
From
like it's after they walk way, way out the door. I mean, that service
Well, it's
starts.
not because they could go home and find something they don't like about it, and then they're back in your chair.
we all know about selfies in the car, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
besides that, many common answers are when my guest looks in the mirror and smiles, or some of
Mm,
them say, when I get a big tip, or some really smart ones say, when she rebooks for her next visit.
yes.
But think about this, because this correlates with some new information that I'm also going to share before we leave today. And that is your service is complete when 2 or 3 days later, your guest can recreate their hairstyle nearly like you
Yeah.
Maintenance.
with all of the products and the tools that you've curated for them with their understanding how to use what in what order with what tool. Because when they're walking on the street looking nearly as they did when they left your salon, and they've got this confidence, it's glowing around them. And anyone who comments and says, "Oh my gosh, Katie, where'd you get your hair done?" Katie will extol the virtues of who did her hair. So here are some facts. This is from a subscription that I get from a publication called Beauty Matters. This is about YouTube searches. Weekly, more than 4.2 million times, there are YouTube searches for blow dry tutorials.
Wow. Okay.
Weekly, more than 3.8 million times, there are YouTube searches for hair tutorial.
I fully believe
Weekly,
that.
more than 2.5 million times, there are searches for curtain bang tutorial.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if your guest is gaining the information from other people than you, the professional who knows their hair best, just think about finding out what it is they need to know that you can't just ask them. So, Liz, what is it you need to know about drying your hair at home? We have to ask the right kind of questions.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
here's a question anyone in our audience, whether they're a future professional or professional, can ask their guest. They can, before they turn on the dryer, they can take a brush and hand it to them and say, Katie, show me how you get started with your blow dry at home. And Katie will say, Robert, really, I'm not so good with those things. And that's a perfect opportunity for you to step forward and say, well, that's why you're in my chair. Today, I'm
Mhm.
going to share with you how to frame your face or how
Yeah.
to section your hair to get
We're
started
going to
Mhm.
educate you a little bit. Yeah.
or how to create more lift in the crown. Or how would you like it if I shared with you how to get your children to sit down for their hair getting brushed out in the morning?
We duct tape them. No.
Deliver more than expected, more than your competition thinks about doing.
Yeah.
So your guest is even more proud they're sitting in your chair.
Wow.
These are some questions you can ask, but it really begins with a very specific one. Will you show me how you get started with your blow dry at home? Not
And
not can you, because they'll
that's
say no, you can't.
a brilliant question to ask. And you know what? And as you're speaking, every time we do a podcast, like things just reel through my head that we need to start adding. And I think that that's great. And it's not for the reason you're going to think. It's for the reason because our students don't understand how important that blow dry process is. They all want to rough dry and then curl. Well, they want to do those spirally curls that take forever. I'm like, you guys, if you utilize the blow dry time correctly, there's, if any, that you need to do after.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm talking to your future professionals now. Hey guys, I want to tell you, when you go out to audition for a job, and let's say you're shoulder to shoulder with a brilliant hair cutter that you're competing with, and the person on the other side of you is a fantastic creative colorist. How are you going to compete?
Mm.
The salon owner is going to want to know not only how capable you are, but how much you care about learning how to be better. So they will initially ask you to do a haircut, yes, but they won't expect too much because they would know if you have the right attitude, they can train you. They're going to ask you not to do a color necessarily because they may think the formulation is beyond the scope of what they want to have you do when you're on the floor when you're new, but they will certainly be asking you to do a blow dry.
for
So
sure.
when you're preparing to try out for that job, have all of your brushes laid out on the station sequentially by size. Have your flat brushes or your paddle brushes on one side and your round brushes going from smaller diameter to larger diameter.
Yeah.
Make sure they're clean, not a single hair on them. When you begin to try out for that job doing that blow dry, begin speaking to that mannequin head or that model and begin telling them why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then do it and then explain what you did.
Yeah.
When you try out for a job that way, that salon owner is going to say, you know what? Katie may not be a great hair cutter. I can teach her that. Katie may not be a brilliant colorist. I can teach her that. But Katie has the right attitude about
Mhm.
preparation and engagement with her guests, and they hire based upon attitude.
Always.
So
You have
if
to.
you have that attitude and you're prepared and you look professional and all your tools are in order, you're going to have the greatest chance in winning that job.
And I think, honestly, in the world today, that goes so far. It really does. But I know that we have used up all of your time and we seriously appreciate it. This has been
Yeah,
so fun. And I feel like we could talk to you for 6 more hours,
for
but
sure.
we will let you get back to your life in California, which sounds so
Hey,
much better than our 40 something degree
It's
day.
today here in Michigan.
we can do it again. I'd
Yes,
be very welcome.
absolutely.
Oh, Robert, we would love that because I
Yes.
feel like we just hit on the tips of everything
Yeah.
that you've done. Just, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, my favorite thing about doing the podcast is just picking people's brains
Yeah.
and just sort of brainstorming, a little bit about a lot of anything, everything. But I love the company and I'm completely intrigued. I was prior, but now hearing just the little bits that we've heard about the products, I'm rethinking our student kits at this
Yeah.
point. I feel like I'm doing my students a disservice and not really looking into the round brushes more, and I had literally just started doing that a few months ago. So,
If
um, if,
Thank you for that. If you have other instructors or cosmetology school owners watching this, think about think about this thinking. Number one is when you're in the process of enrolling a student, they're likely there with someone who loves them and wants them to be successful.
yeah,
Mhm.
You can present your basic cosmetology kit, and then you could offer a professional upgrade, which might include some
yeah.
ergo tools and brushes.
And
I've talked about that before, an
we have
upgraded kit.
definitely talked about
Yeah.
it
At different milestones in their career.
for
Well,
sure.
let's speak about how smart they are when they've got about 400 hours, right? They start to go to stores like Salon Centric or Cosmoprof or
Mhm.
any beauty supply. The people who work at those stores are very nice people,
Yes.
but they may not even be professional and they
Correct.
may not be well informed about the tools that they're presenting. So think about how
They
much
don't, I know that for
is
a
this
fact. I bought
is
every tool possible at Cosmo one year,
She
so
actually
just
has.
think about all the dollars that are leaving the campus. So we're encouraging schools to think about
That's actually very smart.
having a student store open at least one day a week, maybe 7 to 9 a.m., where students can learn about tools that are offered by your school that they can purchase at special pricing, or their loved ones may want to come in and purchase a gift card because they're halfway through their tenure at your school. And
Right.
certainly upon graduation, which is such a big landmark, they might get $100 gift card to go to a Sally Beauty Supply. And that's leaving your campus with
mhm.
less direction, less purpose, less value
Yeah.
for them as a student.
One thing I have seen, and this, I'm just going to say it, it makes me cringe, but I have seen a couple of our students after graduation create an Amazon buy me this for my job thing for graduation, which is brilliant on their part. But I'm
I know.
like, we need to create our own website to like, if you want to upgrade your tools, come here and upgrade your tools here. Don't do it over here on Amazon. You're getting stuff you've never even touched with your skin. You've never even held that in your hand
Yeah.
because
Oh, look,
now with your information, I realize that's clearly important.
yeah, that's something we can have as a sidebar discussion because
Yeah.
there's more to be said in preparing someone for a career than just skill teaching.
Hmm.
It's in preparing them for when they get started. And not many students return back to the cosmetology school where they graduated. There's opportunities to present advanced education to recent graduates, or
Yeah.
another reason to bring them back on campus.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. And we
Absolutely.
absolutely, we have a great we're a boutique cosmetology school, so we're very small, and I'll be quick. I know your time's done. But it's really nice because we have students from 3 years ago reach out, "Hey, I'm thinking about this," just advice. Like, we tell them, like, "You have a friend for life in the industry with us, and come to us, and we got you.
Mhm.
We will guide you the best we possibly
Mhm.
can." And they do. They do. They come running back with
We're too close.
yeah, I mean, but it's great. It's nice to have that rapport moving forward, and I feel like we're building a great community within our industry because of that. So, and that is sort of part of, a big part of how we want to be different. We want to stand out. It's not like, just give us your money, we'll get your license, bye. I feel like that's how a lot of schools are now, and not being accredited, we hold ourselves to different standards and want to be separated from the ones that aren't
Yeah.
holding high
Don't
standards.
apologize for not being accredited. Doesn't mean you're not credible, because your
Exactly.
credibility is based upon the success of what you imbue into your future professionals
Yeah.
and their longevity in their career.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It,
agree.
it is, and it is, and I know we stand out, and I know we're different, and we're proud of that. And our students they recognize it. There's a lot of people within our area within 3 years that are like, we're not going to send our kids to any other school. We already know your reputation. And so
Mhm.
we're so blessed that way.
Yeah.
Robert, you've been amazing. And we're so excited to have this conversation. And sorry we didn't bump into you in Chicago. We went by the booth a couple times. I don't know if any of buddy told you that was there, but we passed out the hangover bags. Your group was great at the show. They were so fun. And now that you're talking about your product, I wish I would have touched everything more, because it's literally how you guys had your whole area set, is so we can grab it, we can hold it, we can utilize it. And I wish I would have paid more
Well, we're
attention.
gonna order it, and we're gonna order your needle knit color brushes.
Yeah, by the way, just to get back to that, Liz,
Yeah.
on Amazon, just look up ergonomic knitting needles and you'll see the
There you go.
inspiration where we began
I can knit again. She literally like kicked me out, kind of.
with contact surfaces. So you'll see knitting needles in multiple colors, multiple handle colors. And this is how we started to think about
I love
what
it.
we could do to improve the experience of a colorist with their most important tools.
So
I
that
love
was
it.
kind of one of your little things. So that's funny.
That's so
One of
cool.
our learning lessons from other
That's
industries.
Yeah, that's great, because that's literally how I learned that I was extremely tense. I tried to knit
I was
to
born
calm
that.
down, and I ended up having to go to the chiropractor because I could not move my shoulders. So
Yeah,
Remember, Liz, you were too tense.
I am.
yeah,
My husband can attest to that.
he knows that.
He just looked at me. You're too tense.
So, Robert, thank you so much. Thank you, Robert, so much for joining us. We're really excited to try your tools, and I'm ashamed that we haven't yet,
Same.
Thank you
but we're
for your
going to.
for your audience. It's really easy to find us. You can find us on
Oh, yeah.
Instagram at Ergo Styling Tools, RGOSTYLINGS Tools, Ergo Styling Tools. Same thing on in TikTok, same thing, Facebook, Ergo Styling Tools. Website, we do provide for professional pricing for cosmetology students. When
Wow.
they log into our website, that information is really easy to understand at ergostylingtools.com. ERGOSTYLING tools, TOOLS.com. Ergo Styling Tools.
Wonderful. We will link those in the show notes as well. So,
Perfect. I'd just like to say in closing, we always like to close by saying, let the shine be with you.
and we like to close by saying, "Force, be bold, and if it fails, oh